Greetings, this is Gary Artek from Imp Stocks, providing you with the NVIDIA report for Monday, January 13, 2025, your daily report. I and hashtag 039, LL start with this picture and just display the sell signal that actually began on Thursday. Well, Wednesday of last week might also be considered the beginning of it. That would be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday because we didn't end hashtag 039, T trade on Thursday. By pushing by a thread to a new all-time high on Tuesday and then closing below Monday and hashtag 039, S low, we released a significant reversal high. That was a display of weakness in and of itself, but we essentially fell apart to get help. Thus, it was a sort of wait-and-see situation. I had stated that it was worth waiting, and the next day we did put on a sell signal by a hair. We opened somewhat lower the next morning and proceeded south, which was Friday and hashtag 039, S sell-off. Expectations are still high for moving southward into the 126.99 to 128.27 range. Thus, keeping below the low 140s keeps the goal in the upper 120s. This chart is updated regularly. This week, we might actually witness that. Within that, we have 137.42. And for the better part of a week, there were highs on that channel level as well. Thus, it is an area of intraday resistance. The resistance range, at least for today, is up to 143.06 if we push or open over 137.42, 140.35, and reach. Given that these two are diverging, I think at least for today, the bottom of this sharply rising channel is edging away. Therefore, we will just observe the current low in relation to the resistance we anticipate for tomorrow. However, for the time being, 140.35, the start of a range up to 143.06, is a broad range of at least 2.5 points that can withstand weekly purchasing forces. And below the edge, anticipating the range of 126.99 to 128.27. This week, that might possibly be achievable. On the downside, we have 133.02. Furthermore, 133.02 is really a straightforward trend line that points back to the August low, but it also combs across the December and early December lows. Although intraday selling may be present, I would and hashtag 039, T be enamored with this as a level of support. It and hashtag 039, S definitely worth a day trade, in my opinion. For a day trader, 137.42 is worth it. You can purchase back at 133.02 and sell at 137.42, and vice versa. If you are an aggressive day trader, you may purchase at 133.02 and profit at 137.42. We could test 128.27 today if we breach 133.02. Which would mark the start of a range down to 126.99 that might contain selling into February. This convergence is noteworthy. This double-top all-time high area is taken into consideration by the horizontal channel bottom at 126.99. The August low is followed by a rising 5-month channel bottom. This area is important because it can keep sales under control through February and possibly beyond. In 2 to 3 weeks, we can round up from here and not only go back into the low 150s, but we might also reach a new rising channel top. Is in the middle of the 160s and rising, as far as I can tell. At about 128.27, it would be the channel bottom test. At that point, we would have a new channel top that is currently in the mid-160s and increasing. Thus, after a test of 126.99 to 128.27, we may actually push into the 170s and 180s. Thus, this is a place to stay for a long time. Not just for today, but for the entire week and into February. Down into the low 150s into February, but maybe into the second quarter or late first quarter, when we may expect to see the 170s and 180s over the next 2 to 3 months. Now, if we and hashtag 039, talking about 180s, the weekly channel top is at 182.73, which is a major resistance region. We haven and hashtag 039, T witnessed it. I suppose I and hashtag 039 am taking a risk by stating that, once we test this, even though I Don and hashtag 039 T anticipate seeing it anytime soon. By the way, this is a weekly chart. The weekly chart 127 to 130.46 shows the formations I recently showed you in the 126 to 128 yearly. When you use the daily chart, I and hashtag 039 LL show you the same formations at 126, 99, and 128.27. In the worst case scenario, you can use those levels to enter an early trade in the 130 area, at 30, 46, or even 127. I Don and hashtag 039 T mean to keep throwing different numbers at you. I call it fine-tuning. The main lesson here, however, is that maintaining this level will keep the 182.73 region within reach. That 2 to 3 months of testing will be referred to as the upper 120s. We can move into the low 180s in a few months if we test this region on the daily chart, which is between 126.99 and 128.27, for 2 to 3 months. So remember that. However, although I Don and hashtag 039 T think this will happen today, we might close below 126.99 later this week. If that and hashtag 039 is the case, you should exit any longs you may have bought in that area. Additionally, you could choose to play the short side. Wing traders can expect 114.54, a 5.8 Fibonacci from the August low against that high from last week, in 1 to 2 weeks. And actually, during the course of the following 3 to 5 weeks. There is a 103.04 objective associated with a settlement below 126.99. 103.04 substantial long-term assistance. With a breach of the same region that can withstand selling through the second quarter, we would anticipate the kind of long-term support 103.37 on the weekly chart. We can reach new heights from here. In fact, if we close below 103.37 and extend until later in the year, this might be an annual low. It and hashtag 039 SA situation I didn't and hashtag 039 T anticipate. Now let and hashtag 039 S talk about the upside. Around least until the beginning of the week, when we close around 143.06, I Don and hashtag 039 T see any compelling reason to purchase this market. And that ought to result in this November high of 152.89 once more by Friday and hashtag 039 S close. However, as we enter February, I do believe that this also brings with it increased commerce. I and hashtag 039 am currently searching for channel resistance, which I could outline. However, while I and hashtag 039 am looking over the charts at the moment, I can and hashtag 039 T really see anything on the daily chart. Naturally, you have this 182.73 on the weekly. However, if we close above this 143.06 region once more, I believe we may anticipate the low 150s in 3 to 5 days, and even higher as we get into late January and early February. I and hashtag 039 LL give you a decent idea of what the 3 to 5 week goal might entail. However, for the time being, closing back above 143.06, anticipate a retest of 150 to 189 in 3 to 5 days, and as we move into February trading, I believe further higher. However, the focus is still bearish below this region for the time being. We are once again in that important 126.99 to 128.27 range for the next week or two, and probably this week as well. That, I believe, encapsulates it. For this specific Imp Stocks video analysis and video from Monday, I and hashtag 039 am going to stop there. Naturally, I and hashtag 039 LL return tomorrow with Tuesdays. Please check out, like, share, and subscribe. Imp Stocks benefit from our complimentary 5-day trial. You may view all of our stock selections for the whole week, as well as our daily Triple Q and SPY, NASDAQ 100, S and AMP Wink with tongue sticking out 500, and Apple stock, for free for 5 days. Look us up. I will return tomorrow. with video and Tuesdays. You and hashtag 039, having a wonderful day.